I was beside myself with delight as I walked out of my Bronx apartment building, holding my dad's hand. The year was 1963, and I was 5. So although all of the New York City housing projects were surrounded by cement, mine had a little grass area out front. And this morning, I had gotten a whiff of the tantalizing fragrance of freshly cut grass. So I ran towards it as fast as my little legs would take me until I heard my dad's booming voice, "Stop, Kim." I came to a screeching halt. Well, at the time, there was a chain around that grass, and on that chain, there was a sign. Well, I couldn't read yet, so my dad read it to me. "Keep off the grass." "Why?" I squealed. Well, he calmly explained that this was a pretty piece of nature for everybody to look at. But if we all walked on it or ran on it, it would get ruined. I was so confused. I asked myself why. Why would anybody put grass there and then forbid me from running on it or jumping on it or playing on it? That just seemed cruel. So I squatted right down next to that patch, and I kept my feet dutifully on the cement. But I reached my little hand underneath, and I touched the cool, refreshing blades. And when my dad wasn't looking, I grabbed a handful of it, and I stuck that grass in my jacket pocket, so that all day long on the stinky New York City subway, I could get a whiff whenever I wanted. So began the pull of nature for this little girl. From that moment on, I made it my life's mission to stay on the grass. Today, I'd like to share a little bit about how this city girl reconnected to nature and how studies now validate my internal longing. But most importantly, what that can mean for you. How coming alive in nature can help us to balance out the anxiety and depression that's just become rampant during these uncertain times. My name is Kim Ulrich-Suss. Most people call me Coach. I have a master's in counseling psychology and have spent the last 38 years as a teacher and personal counselor at Deer Valley High School. I've also had the absolute enjoyment and excitement of a successful coaching career, culminating in being inducted in the Arizona State High School Coaches Hall of Fame this April. But as an educator, I also had my summers off. So for my summer job for many, many years, I took teenagers camping on a 6-week traveling camping trip. We started right here in Colorado, horseback riding over 100 miles in the Weminuche Wilderness. And then we went to Utah, and we kayaked and rafted over 50 miles on the rivers. And finally, we summited the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. Some summers, we made it all the way to Alaska. Currently, I am living my encore career of being a life coach and also leading women's nature retreats. So, although I couldn't be more proud of all of my athletes and our successes, the thing that's been very personally satisfying to me is the moments. The moments like when Nicole saw that little owl pop its head out of the tree. And she got so excited and fascinated by how cute that owl was, I could just see all the stress she brought with her disappear from her face. Or the time that my women's group was helping each other across the ropes course. And when they got done, they strangled me because I made them do it. And then we all got giggling like little girls again. Or the time that Jennifer pulled herself up the last pitch of the mountain and stood on top, exuding a newfound confidence, and stood there saying, if I could do this, I can do anything. These moments where people transform themselves in nature have been priceless to me. The Japanese call it Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. The Korean researchers call it forest medicine. And here in America, we have two new movements in eco-psychiatry and eco-psychology. John Muir once said, "Come into the woods, for here is rest." Now we have some studies to show not only how right he was, but why. So, our brain on nature and a trick. Dr. Strauss of Harvard Medical School explains that an overactive fight or flight response is the cause of many people's anxiety during uncertain times. But the quiet sounds and the calming sounds in nature have been shown to reduce our cortisol, which is our stress hormone, and actually allow that fight or flight response to calm down. Secondly, when people are overly stressed or even depressed, their prefrontal cortex tends to malfunction and take them into these negative thoughts, which lead into negative feelings, into the next negative thought, and then I worry about the next negative thought in this continuous loop. But the sights and the sounds and the smells of nature have been shown to be a really good distractor to our prefrontal cortex, hence allowing us to just be a stopgap, have a stopgap to our worry loop. Lastly, there's a trick to the way that we engage in nature that not only calms us down, but can simultaneously make us feel more alive. Researchers have shown that adding the 5 following components can not only decrease our cortisol, but can give us a cocktail of serotonin, which is very similar to what an antidepressant or anxiety drug does. So the first component is mindfulness, being 100% present. The second is fascination. Look at that rock with the leaf growing on it. There's not a lot of soil. How is that possible? Let me look closer. Number 3 is challenge. You know, usually I hike in the woods, but today I'm gonna run. And number 4 is imagination. Look at those beautiful clouds in the sky. I see an animal in them. What do you see? And last but not least, allowing us to feel part of something larger than ourselves. Won-Sop Shin is a leading Korean forest medicine researcher, and he led 9-day forest retreats. And at the end of those retreats, the reduction in depression scores was a significant 64%. Well, in context, when the reduction of depression scores is 50% or more, that's the gold standard for drug trials. Just think about that. But the best news yet is that other researchers have shown that just a half day in a city park or a few hours in nature can give very similar positive effects. So, it doesn't matter how old you are, or even if you have limited time, get outside and reap some of these positive rewards. Lastly, I want to talk to you about the power of Green X. What is Green X? It's simple. It's exercising or playing sports or just playing outside. And it's the ultimate mood enhancer. Green X has been shown to quickly stifle our cortisol, and the combination of sunlight and physical exercise just gives us a rush of our happy chemicals. So I challenge you to go snowshoeing in the woods after a newly fallen snow blankets the ground and not feel that rush. Within 5 minutes of green activity, data shows that our moods can really increase. So, go out and do yoga in a beautiful place, or kayak or canoe on a mountain lake, or hike the trails, or even train for a triathlon. Whatever works for you. But do it outside and in a beautiful setting as much as you can. And remember, active play counts. So find a green, grassy hill that doesn't have a sign, and grab your daughter's hand and roll down it together and let yourself be a kid again.
Here we go. You ready? You can start.
In that moment, I have never felt more alive. So, whether it's staying on the grass or here in Colorado in the snow, let nature be the only drug you ever need. Thank you.